decided to watch together, or that I more watched on your recommendation, was Steins, which I have written incorrectly every single time.
Yeah, you got to get the semicolon in the middle.
Well, the semicolon, but I always want to add an apostrophe.
That's what should be there.
Right? Okay. As far as background knowledge, I knew you were super into it. I knew that.
It's my favorite anime. It's number one.
Okay, we'll get to that one. I had a number of friends online who have seen it or like really like those semicolon series. I don't know what you guys call them, but that's what it looks like to me.
Honestly, this has been the only one that I've actually enjoyed. I've watched every series that has the semicolon. This has been the only one that's been good
Well,
to me.
okay. Well, I had like right I had no background knowledge as far as like what the series was or literally anything. I just knew it was a thing that people I knew and enjoyed.
So you didn't know about the any of the plot or any of the characters or anything like that?
Nope. Mm-mm. I just knew there was a redhead.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. Um, I did a little bit of looking up stuff while I was in like the first couple episodes.
Oh no.
I like to look. No, 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 no. I like to look up the voice actors of the
Oh,
series.
yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing for myself before I've even started.
It's just very easy with this show.
But yeah. Okay, so I looked at the voice actors and I realized there was like Sebastian from Kurosushi, which was pretty impressive. Lots of Yuri on Ice. Oh yeah.
Did you watch it dubbed or subbed?
Oh yeah, I watched it dubbed.
Of course.
Yep, yep, yep. I do that to everyone. Everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna let's watch this series," and I'm like, "All right," and then I just watch dubbed and I don't tell anyone.
That's fair. I mean, this one's pretty good dubbed. It's not bad. You lose out on a couple things, but it's not huge.
No, I thought it was really good. Yeah. So, but yeah, English voice actor wise, a lot of Yuri on Ice and a lot of Fairy Tale, which was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, I could not remember any of the characters' names like the entire time.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I get
I
that.
had a I had a hard time learning their names. But it was the time travel girl with the two braids.
Oh, yeah, Suzuha.
Yeah, she's Lucy in Fairy Tale.
Okay. The part-time warrior.
Yeah, 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 and also Gwendolyn in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh, I don't know if I have her yet.
Oh, well, you should because she's freaking adorable because she has my name and she's got pink armor and I love
Of
her.
course, she has pink armor.
I know, right? Okay. So that was my background knowledge of the series, which was not a lot,
Yeah,
obviously. Um,
I had when I started it, I had well this time obviously I've seen it before, but when I first watched it, I knew about the same. I knew it was a thing that some people liked, and I had actually started watching it once before I got up to episode 3 and was like, "Nah, this isn't good." And then now it's my favorite. So,
okay, because I even had some friends comment on because on my Twitter I mentioned that I started it, and my friend was just like, "Yeah, I stopped at episode 7," and I was like, that's fair.
that I saw that I'm like it's fair, but it's also just before shit goes down.
That's true, and I was gonna be
Like
like,
it's right before.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna tell her and like maybe you should try again. uh, cause okay, I was a little checked out until things. Okay, hold on. I want to preface all of this with I'm so bad with time travel animes. I am a freaking idiot. It's so hard for me to like keep up. It's so hard to keep up.
That's fair.
Nothing clicked
Especially with this one, I get it because they don't explain anything.
at
So when the
all.
series start, they let just let loose right away with a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense until literally the very end. So that's perfectly understandable.
See, and that's what I was gonna say. Nothing clicked until episode 20. I marked it
Yep,
down. I had everything written down. And I was like, episode 20. I get it.
yep, that's exactly how it goes, and I love that feeling. Yeah,
Oh, but it was a rough time getting up there. Wow. I want to do my first impressions and probably your first and second and third impressions
right.
of like before you started the series and even just like a few episodes in, including like getting to know the characters, which would then in turn like your favorite character, your least favorite character.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know about your first impressions based off your very similar background knowledge the first time you saw it.
My first impressions.
Yeah.
My first impressions from the first time that I watched it, I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood, or it might have been the art style, but something about it just put me off. I was like, all right, this is kind of boring and a little bit weirdly heavy in just a weird way.
See, that's interesting. I thought it was like when I first saw it, I thought it was like art style wise, it was like a mix between like Durarara and Higurashi.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. Um,
Right?
they have like kind of oblong faces,
His
and
especially.
it's kind of funny. Did you know that it was based off of a visual novel?
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, but
Yeah, the visual novel has this really peculiar like watercolor art style that
okay.
they just couldn't do in the show, but it looks a lot better in the visual novel. I completely got used to it in the show by the second time I watched it though.
Mhm. That's interesting.
But yeah, the second time though, the second time I was into it, but I just picked up on the almost slice of life element,
Right?
and I just ran with it. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like this for what it is.
Just take it at face
It's
value.
just easier to go about it that way.
Yes, definitely. Oh my god. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, first impressions felt a lot like Durara Higurashi hybrid. Um
Yeah.
later on I also man, I was just drawing a lot of parallels. Later on I was just like, man, this is also kind of like a lot like Haruhi Suzumiya. And then by the end of it, I was like, damn, this has a lot of Toradora feels.
it
So I was all over the
it
place.
does get a little it does feel a little like Toradora because of the relationship between Okabe
Yeah.
and Kirisu. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very strong. Toradora
Yeah.
feels near the end, and I was like, whoa, kind of makes me want to
I
watch
think it's just
Toradora again.
it just falls with Kirisu and her she's 100% just a tsundere character. Like she's the personification of tsundere.
She really is. Who? Mm-hmm.
Doesn't she at one point even say it's not like I like you or anything, which is the quintessential tsundere line?
Right? No, yeah, I'm pretty sure she did, because I was just like, girl, all right,
Yeah.
sure, we'll do this. Oh, I think I also said that the animation kind of reminded me of Psychopaths, which was really cool. I really like that one.
Mm,
Totally recommend. Um,
I have not watched it yet, but I
yeah,
definitely
see?
can see what you're talking about because I've seen clips from it. So yeah, yeah, I definitely
Yeah, it was like the fluidity of like the movements and stuff like that. It was very similar.
yeah.
Um, I was caught off guard, at least for the English dub. I don't know if this was the same then for the original, whatever subtitle you're
Hmm.
watching it, but there were a lot of internet memes. There were a
Oh
lot of
no.
internet meme references.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's yeah, that was it was the same in the subs. They're probably a little different, but no, they're pretty much the same.
Okay, because it was very heavy in the meme referencing.
And that's
I was like, all right.
yeah, that actually it came from the visual novel because the way the visual novel worked is that you didn't have the same choices per se that you usually would. You
Uh
would
huh.
pick up messages on your phone, and depending on whether or not you replied to them and the way that you replied to them is what would change the game. You would also scroll through the website that he would browse, which was at channel, which at chan for 4chan, but
Right.
Yeah, so they took it directly from the game and they brought it into the show and they made it a little bit more relevant by having um,
A little more up to date.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, I was like super caught off guard. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, it's also just the time that it was released. That was what they did. But
Definitely, yeah.
and then of course they were just nerdy college students living in Akihabara, so they're gonna be like that.
Right, definitely, yeah. It was whew.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to read my episode 1 notes and like I have like a whole page of just like I'm too stupid for this time travel bullshit. It's just that
It's to get the most out of the show, I do think you just need to watch it twice, but yeah, no, I feel
see
you.
that's what I was thinking and I was like I don't have time to fit in a second rewatch of this
Yeah.
one, but it's definitely going on the rewatch list so that I can appreciate it more
Yeah.
kind of. I really liked I realized in the first couple episodes just the little like background music that they
Hmm.
had when it would
Yeah,
just be
it's
like the very casual scenes before shit got real.
yeah, it's yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the show was the background music. It just fits so well and it set up the mood
It
perfectly.
did.
That kind of like it
Mm-hmm.
all felt kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, definitely. That's which is so fitting. Because, like you said, at this point where you're looking back, honestly, at the beginning, did you end up having a favorite character throughout all of it, or?
I I had a lot of favorite characters. I thought the whole cast just worked well together. Um,
Uh huh. Right.
Honestly, Okabe is just one of my favorite characters in all of anime because he's ridiculous, but you learn really quick that his whole um, mad scientist thing is like a charade. Really?
It's all a charade for friendship.
Yeah, exactly. He just wants to make friends, and that's how he does it. That's just how it works. And it's like, oh,
Basically,
you poor sweet man.
right? I was like, oh my god, this dude, like, does he ever shut up? Like,
Uh huh.
does this ever, like, end? Like, what is he doing? And then by the end, I was like, oh,
Yeah, right.
oh. It was
And well, like one of the coolest things, and I don't think this is a spoiler too much because it's pretty much said in the plot of the show, like when you look up a synopsis. But
mm-hmm.
his whole charade is like he's talking about this secret organization that's constantly coming after him, and uh,
Yeah.
like all this stuff like that he says into his phone, and all of it is real. He just doesn't know it. It's like
Right?
the amount of irony there
Oh.
is just massive.
That's what got me. I was just like, oh, does this play in the time travel? No, it's just fucking. Ooh.
It's
Ooh.
yeah.
That one made me a bit salty, only because I'm so dumb. Um, Jesus.
But yeah,
Um,
did you have a specific character that stood out to you?
oh yeah, can you take a wild guess?
Was it Ferris?
Do do do! It was my Yuri.
Of course. She's a great
I.
character.
She was so good. She was so pure. Oh my god. So you can only imagine how absolutely terrible the rest of the series went for me.
I know. I know. So avoiding spoilers, I don't know what's worse. The first loop or several loops in when you think everything's turning out well.
When he doesn't care anymore.
Well, there's that whole part, but there's also the part where oh my god, that's also really bad. There's that part, the beginning, and then the several loops in when you're like, yeah, he's doing it good. He's gonna save everybody. He's gonna make it all right, and then he doesn't,
Right?
and it's like, oh, and it just comes crashing onto you. It's like, oh, but there is that part where he just doesn't care
I know, it was so rough.
in the visual novel because I played through that after I watched it.
Uh huh.
After a few loops, because each character has their own arc in the visual novel, their own ending. In one of the endings, it's that he just doesn't care anymore. Loop. He's just trying to
Mm-hmm.
because they all go to this convention and they have a really good day, and then after that, shit goes down, And so he just starts living out the loop over and over again where they go to this convention and have a really good day. And he's like, yeah, I could do whatever I want right now and it wouldn't matter. I could just murder everyone here and it wouldn't matter because we would just repeat this day all over again. And it's like seeing him go from this really positive character to this really negative character is just, oh, it's the most depressing thing. And I think they captured that pretty well in the anime. Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
Oh, yeah. It gets dark. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. If that's how the visual novel went, that's. But yeah, anyways, Ferris was also a really great character. I enjoyed her a lot. I was really upset.
Talking about favorite characters, she's my least favorite.
Really?
She's so annoying. She's so annoying. Oh, the only time I like her is when she's playing off of Okabe's delusions. I'm like, oh, you're humoring him.
I thought you were gonna at least appreciate her cat puns.
Her cat puns were good. I got less of them because I was watching the subs, so I only got what was translated. But
fair.
Oh, God.
They were pretty impressive, honestly, in the dub.
Pretty impressive.
I would say a lot more than what I could come up with, but I'm not very good at puns, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she was pretty adorable too. Her D-male plotline was also pretty sad. I was really upset when it like went through and how much it changed like what Akihabara looked like and everything like that. It was that was rough.
That one was interesting because that one felt like the classic time travel story.
Yeah.
The rest of it like did its own thing, and then they did reference just the whole butterfly effect where everything changes. And that one felt just weird because it does give you that like, oh my god, I'm affecting forces I really should not be touching right now. Yeah.
Oh man, even just like watching the animation that went with the butterfly effect explanation was like, I was like, this is the wrong series for me. I was like, I shouldn't be watching this.
Can you see why I thoroughly enjoy this though? Like this is 100% up my alley.
I do. Exactly. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, no wonder Alex fucking likes this show. God.
Yeah. It's so good.
There was so much. I took so many notes to try and like keep up with it, and I was just like, is the redhead the Haruhi of the season? Is it a murder mystery? What's happening? And
the answer to any question is probably just yes.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty much all just yes.
It was a good one. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I think I love how in episode 5 I have a note of, I think I'm starting to understand this time travel thing.
And then here you are saying, I didn't get it till episode 20.
I really didn't. I thought I had it. I honest to God thought I finally had it. And I was like, okay, microwave, phone, and then slimy banana back. And I was like, I think I get it. It didn't. It did not at all.
I loved the references to time travel and pop culture. So even down to the to what they call the emails that they send back in time, DeLorean mail, shortened to D-mail.
Yeah, shortened to D-mail. Pop culture references. There was a ton, especially in the English one. I don't know which one probably went over better, but if we both got the right message, then it probably worked either way.
Oh yeah, I've seen for the most part, I've seen a lot of the dub, and then all of the sub, obviously. But yeah, I think for the most part, most of the references do carry over.
So, one thing I was looking at my notes, episode 8 to episode 9, the Chaos Theory, was really intense. Apparently, I was very confused in this one, and I can't quite remember specifically what happens. But I think it was part of, who is the small child friends with Mayuri who is essentially just trans? What was their name?
The small child that was friends with Mayuri? Oh, no. Rukako.
Yeah. That one was hard to watch.
In what way?
It was very relevant. At least within, like, things that I see more frequently now in my day-to-day life. excluding time travel. But it was really sad, especially later on when everything basically had to be like reverted and like their little date and everything.
Yeah, that was so sad. And it's like, because Ruka's not going to remember any of that. It's not up to it's whether or not I don't even know what gender to.
I know there was no clear like definitive like preference, so I've just been going with they.
I think they is just a good catch-all for that. But yeah, the fact that it all sticks with Okabe, and I think they mentioned that at one point that it might have been Mayuri, I can't quite remember, but someone mentions that it must be lonely, him being the only one that can remember things, and it's that point. Excuse me, that point really just drives it home that he's the only one that remembered the date. It's like, oh, that's so sad.
Right? Because it was like that for every single timeline that he essentially just reset. That, like, he's the only one who remembers all this different stuff that's been happening with, like, his friends and people he considers family. It was rough to watch. It really was.
And even just the characters themselves, he had to make decisions based on what he was prioritizing because he had his singular goal, and it happened especially during the Ferris story, where she was obviously much happier. Like that timeline, that's her preferred timeline, but he had to make a choice there, and that's just so rough.
Yeah, it was like, I don't want to be like, it's for the greater good of everyone, because obviously, like, some people are going to be orphans, some people aren't going to be the gender that they truly feel, some people, well, I guess some people are going to be alive, so it's that, ugh. But that's why the series was just so, it was really good, because it goes from, like, the high points of just, like, them goofing around building a freaking time machine to being like super deep and depressing, picking who gets to live and die because you can't have both.
I love that. That's part of why I love the show, because it goes from that, like, the first half to the second half they're two different shows. They're completely different, and they go from the high points to the low points just instantly. It's just there's no buffer between them. You're 1 second you're laughing, and then all of a sudden, bam, shit goes down, and then you're laughing, and then bam, shit goes down, and it's just they handle it so well.
No, yeah, it's a very back and forth. Like, I can see in, like, my episode notes being like, oh man, I love these characters even if I don't understand the plot, to, oh my god, why is this happening to my sweet baby child? Like, what is this nonsense? Like, I cannot even fathom continuing.
I was just thinking, yeah, and I love everyone. I forgot. There is another character that I hate.
Oh,
There's another character that I hate, and this one I actually despise from the core of my being. Can you guess which one?
is it the girl on her phone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I called it! I fucking knew it!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's so horrible. She is the worst character in any show.
That's some pretty strong feelings there.
Yeah, I despise her. And I feel like I realized I'm not cut out to be an anime protagonist, because Okabe at one point he's like, yeah, and I want to even her, I want to be friends with her. And I'm like, I don't shove her in front of a train.
Hard pass, please.
Yeah.
Basically, because I was kind of the same way, and I'm really, I'm really glad we can agree on this one. I can't remember her name to save my life.
Moeka.
Moeka, that's right. She made me mad. I was really upset in the initial timeline. Just the first thing that happened, to keep it spoiler free, more or less. But the fact that every single timeline with her was just pulling teeth, dude.
Right? Oh my god, she's so obnoxious.
She wasn't worth it? I don't know. That sounds really mean.
I'm blanking on this now because I get a lot of stuff mixed up from the show to the visual novel. Did they have the arc with the kid, bronze kid?
It wasn't too much of an arc. It was just it was a revealing of certain people and a lot of death.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super. It was another one of those really really sad turns of seeing the child out there, the little girl at the table with breakfast ready, with two plates set, and just her with two breakfast plates set.
Yeah. Oh, because Mr. Brown. I don't know how I feel about him.
I know. I did. I mean, I don't want to be like, I didn't see that one coming at all, because I didn't see anything coming in this series, obviously. But that that one really surprised me.
What kind of a coincidence is that, though, right? Like, he's up there building a time machine and he just so happens to be there, of all places.
Right? Like, that's the person that he's supposed to be, like, looking for. And it's like, dude, you got it.
And then, God, just Suzu's whole arc builds right into that, too. Oh.
No, yeah, it was really good. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about one part of it in particular because it all ties into each other. Like it's like the Olympics logo, the rings that are all chained. It's just it all connects in its own way. But
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, that one was really interesting. Just to like slowly have everything connect over time and be like, "No, really?" That was it was nice though.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that feeling is why I watch that show.
Yeah. It was really good. So we know why this is your favorite series, obviously. So what are like some of the biggest moments that maybe we haven't touched on that were like your favorite or like funny, real sad, real just the bigger ones that stick out.
So the biggest moments in the show that we haven't touched on.
Yeah, that stuck out to you.
I'm trying to think. Oh, so I don't think we mentioned at all the scene where you find out about um, Mayuri's past for the first time with Okabe.
Mhm.
That part was intense.
That one was a lot. Um, I was caught off guard by how intense it was.
I mean, that was like the first intense part of the series, and that happens pretty early on because
Mm-hmm.
that's when Kirisu's first joining the lab, right? And she's like, "Oh no, I'm his hostage."
Right? And you're like, girl, what? But also, I'm not really concerned. But also, what?
Yeah, you're like, "What the hell does that is that supposed to mean?" Like, I know everyone here is insane, but what does that mean?
Right, right, right. No, yeah, it was. Ugh. Yeah, the whole thing was heartbreaking, especially what just like had to keep happening to her over and over again, and just ugh,
And
ugh.
it plays right into the main theme of the show. Well, it's hard to talk too much without spoiling, but
Right.
um yeah, her whole introduction with Okabe and the past and him just running up to her because she's holding her hand out and he says, "Well, I'm afraid of losing her." And how that plays into what goes on in the rest of the show is just the parallel there. It's so good.
It did. They played on that one really well. It, ugh. Which is why I think like if if you don't enjoy this series on the first watch, like I get it. I get that it would be hard to get past what episode 7, episode 10 out of the 24, 25 if you include the special, but I I think it's worth it. I really enjoyed it despite not being one for time travel or anything because like when I wasn't intrigued with the plot, I was super intrigued with just like the characters and maybe not even their development but just how they interacted with each other.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's because there is character development, but it's mostly with Okabe because he's the only one that gets the chance to go through this. But he it's how they interact. Exactly what you said. It's how each of the characters interacts with each other, how Okabe interacts with everyone, and just how all their ties combine. I think that's what makes the show um, what it is. And yeah, the first half of the show is it's essentially just a slice of life. You're watching these guys walk around and talk to each other, but that's so important for what happens later on because then you're like, oh, now I see what this is supposed to be, and I get to see how that's messed up by what goes on. But yeah, I can definitely forgive someone for not watching it the first time around. Like I said, I started and I only got through like episode 3 before I gave up, and now it's number 1 for me. So I highly recommend trying it out.
No, yeah, definitely. I think it's well worth just persevering through. Um, I like to do the dubs because when I just don't think I can get through it, I could just keep my hands busy or just like scroll through something else and it'll still be playing. I'm still kind of like taking it in a little bit, but it makes it easier to get through. Some of those parts that just are a little bit more difficult to get through. I don't want to say fillery, because it's not like a Dragon Ball Naruto filler nonsense thing, but like it's it's worth it in the end. It really is.
And like, yeah, I can definitely understand trying the dub for this one, especially because the explanations, because it does set up its rules for time travel, and those rules they have long-winded. It's very pseudosciencey talk. Um,
It really is. There is a lot of that, and I think I would have severely struggled if I went with subs.
yeah, that's it. So it's perfectly understandable. But I also just realized that the part that you got is severely different from the part that I got when he's looking for the badge salesman. When he's talking to the black guy and he's asking him if he speaks jive.
True. Oh, that's very true.
For me, the part that I get is he goes up to this guy and he's supposed to be American. So he's like speaking English in like really, really bad English. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the most hilarious thing to me. It was so funny on that part for me. And I don't think it's as funny when he's trying to speak like a black guy, but I still think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I had no idea that that was like the setup. I didn't realize that it was supposed to be like American versus Japanese, just terrible like communication. I I definitely didn't get that.
Yeah, it's essentially he sees a black guy in Japan, and so he's like, "Oh, obviously you don't speak Japanese, so I'm going to speak English to you." But then the guy speaks Japanese just fine, and he tells him where to go. And so that's I think they did it pretty well what they did in the dub translating it over. But yeah, you do lose a bit of context. So I bet that scene did it feel like it kind of came out of nowhere for you?
Yes, yes, it did. I was just like, okay, here's this guy, I guess.
Yeah, it just kind of it loses a bit of context, but knowing where it came from, hopefully it doesn't seem as random as it did in the when you watch it through.
Yeah, I think yeah. Yeah, probably. I think just going in with that like little extra stuff or maybe just being more aware of what context might be missing if it really doesn't make any sense because I mean like there are some parts that just don't make sense honestly, but keeping in mind context that could go with it would probably make it easier.
Yeah, and just it is one of those anime that has a lot of Japanese culture built into it. It's like people have trouble playing the Persona games because they're so incredibly Japanese, and I think this anime does do that a little bit. But I think for the most part, you can get away with just watching the dub and not knowing too much. You just have to kind of forgive a few parts that feel a little out of place.
Yeah, that and just I mean like I would assume anyone watching it would be brushed up on their otaku culture and whatnot just because of Daru and his everything.
Right. I almost forgot about that.
How could you forget?
He makes a ton of references that I didn't catch when I watched it the first time because I wasn't as well versed in anime culture when I
Mm-hmm.
watched it the first time. Um, like right at the beginning, I think the first major reference he makes to even just other anime, he tries to name the male the male that leapt through time. Did he do that in the dub?
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah, that's a reference to the girl who leapt through time. Okabe brings it a step further because he says, "Oh, how about we shorten it to um, it's like something that leapt through time or whatever." And Okabe's like, "But then we don't know what it is. Is it a girl or is it the male? Who knows?"
Right?
Um, yeah,
Yeah, he has by far most of the references, and he was most of the meme references too. But yeah, there's a lot of the otaku culture between just like dating sims and uh what is the word I'm looking for? Terms that we all use, like tsundere. Again, he does that a lot.
oh yeah. Did they call Kirisu Tsundere?
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm like 98% sure that happened.
Right? It seems like it has to have.
Right? I'd be amazed if it didn't and I'm remembering incorrectly.
Okay, so I have an important question for you because the fan base of Steins Gate is divided about 50-50 on this.
Ooh.
So obviously the show itself is shipping Okabe with Kirisu, right?
Right.
But half the fan base also ships him with Mairi. Do you see that?
I could see where they're coming from. Would I personally ship it? No, because it just doesn't it just doesn't feel like it sits that way. It really honestly feels like they're just really good friends. Like best friends, but not like relationship status.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like they feel like family almost, like or because calling them friends doesn't seem right because you can tell that from what I mean, obviously the way the show runs out, you can tell that there's a little bit more to that, but it's not.
They've been through a lot together.
Yeah, and yeah, so I agree. I just don't feel any romanticism coming out of that,
Yeah,
and I also ship him with Kirisu so hard. So
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it is how the series wanted it to go in the end. I mean, honestly, but yeah, no,
yeah,
not with my Yuri. No, yeah, I
no.
like your description of family because you're right. Friends doesn't sit right. It still doesn't totally encompass like their relationship, but it's not a lovers thing. I definitely think it is like family. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's almost something different that we don't have a word for because it's like they are beyond friends, but I think they're beyond family too. It's like I don't know. I don't think we have a word for what that relationship is. The I would literally die for you, but you know, you're not my brother kind of thing.
Right? No, yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, it's this weird in between, and I can see where they're coming from. I really can. I would not put it past anyone to ship them. Yeah, no, they can do that totally. It's just not where I sit with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of people, because the game actually does play out like a dating sim throughout a lot of it. So I've seen him end up with everyone now, and I just don't. Yeah, I just can't do Mighty. I can kind of see him with Ferris. That ended up being um, kind of interesting, but nah.
That would be cute.
Yeah, it's a little hard because in the game you essentially get a bad end when you end up with anyone that isn't Mairi or Kirisu. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's a little bit hard because it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, when he ends up with her, he ends up in a bad timeline. So it's hard for me to support that knowing how that goes. But
Hmm.
yeah,
That's fair, but also it kind of sucks.
yeah,
'Cause I do like it, and I do like him with the one who, oh my god, I cannot remember their name. Ooh,
oh yeah, Ruka.
Ruka. Okay, no, yeah, them. Okabe and them was really cute, if only just for like, I don't know, cause they really like him, or at least professed in that one.
They have a good dynamic.
It was a very good dynamic. I really like that.
Yeah,
It was really sad. I'm still not over it. That was the only one that, like, most people would probably hesitate with. But by then it's so far in the series, I think you understand the context and just, like, the vibe of it, that it's not supposed to be, like, it's by no means malicious, like, at all. Um, it was just probably not worded correctly here and there.
I think a great way to put it is that they just obviously the writers didn't have all the information that they probably needed. Um, if they were a little bit more well informed on stuff like that, they probably would have written it differently. Because you're right, it was obviously not malicious. You can tell by the way Okabe talks. He does say it doesn't matter what's on the outside. It's literally just how you feel. That's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't think they would have put stuff like that in if they were trying to be offensive.
Right? No, yeah. Um, but yeah, no. Overall, I mean, like, these characters were great, and just how they worked together was fantastic. And if anything, I just really, really, really enjoyed the characters.
I agree. I think the series ties into just slice of life stories in that the characters are the most important. If you don't enjoy the characters, you're probably not going to like the show. But they do a great job of building the characters up to be people, and then you just start to you care about them, and then you care about their problems, and then you care about how their problems get fixed, and then the story folds out the way that it does, and it tears everything down and takes away everything that you love, which is A+.
Yay, we love heartbreak. Yeah, no, I think that's perfect, and I really can't think of too many other series, slice of life or otherwise, that start with your characters and, like, build such an intricate plot line from the characters.
I think you made a good comparison to even you were just talking about the art style, but it does remind me a lot of Higurashi, the way that it starts, and then
Oh yeah.
you're like, okay, so this is just a normal life going on, and then all of a sudden it tanks, and you're like, oh, never mind.
See, and that's what I was thinking. And there's a little bit of weird time reset in that one too, which is gave me those vibes.
Oh my god, time loops, I love them.
God, I hate them. I hate them so much. I'm so bad at it. Oh,
I'll probably always love a show if it has a time loop in it.
that's fair. I mean, whether or not you're into the time travel, science fiction-y type animes, like, I think this one is well worth it if you're at all into just slice of life, to be quite honest, with a side of action.
Yeah, if you don't mind things getting dark, then this is a great anime for anyone who's into character dramas. It has a great combination of the comedy with the drama. Like we said, it goes up to a high point and then goes down and up and down, and I think that's exactly what you need in a show like this.
Most definitely. And I think, yeah, it's just such a great touch, especially if, yeah, basically just wanting the the back and forth of it all. But yeah, Steins Gate, A+. Well, I don't know if I give it an A+. I think I rated it like 8 out of 10.
A+.
Okay, A+ from Alex.
I'd say 8.59.
That's fair.
I wouldn't get. I don't think it's perfect. I do think it drags on in some cases. I think a lot of parts of it are a little slower, a little more convoluted than it needs to be. The ending is the most convoluted thing I've ever seen in an anime, but
Dandin,
it's
it's
still good.
fucking ridiculous. Still good.
Oh yeah.
Definitely still good. Yeah, I gave it about, yeah, probably about a 7.58. Just the characters were great. The plot was interesting when it got there.
Yeah, when it wasn't spending 4 minutes talking about how an alpaca man feels.
Oh my god. I totally forgot about that.
You cannot forget about alpaca man.
Oh, I wish I could. Oh, how I wish. But yeah, so that's been this podcast for Steins Gate. Recommendation from me and my brother's favorite anime there. So that was good to learn. Catch this one next time on whichever anime we ended up deciding to watch. Should always be a good one. Follow the YouTube channel or Twitter.
Oh yeah, I have a Twitter. I'm on Pixel Decorus on Twitter.
All right. So you can follow Alex at Pixel Icarus. I'll have all the links down below. But yeah, thanks for joining us on Steins Gate. I know I have a few friends who are really into it and probably were very excited to hear about this one. That's where we sat with the series. Obviously, we all very much liked it, some more than others. But yeah, it's all there. And so we will catch you next time on whatever anime we end up watching next for Tales from the Couch. Thanks so much, guys.